not seem that sparkling, and that's what makes it that much more attractive to me. Karpov is simply avoiding exchanging pieces on the A file. In the position before that, black clearly wants to exchange rooks, get all the heavy pieces, rooks and queens, off the board, which will ease his problems. A basic rule in chess is if you have more space, you want to avoid exchanges. And this move, bishop a7, just stops black from doing what he wants to do. And we can see after a couple more maneuvers, white already has double power on the A file, and he goes on to outmaneuver his opponent, who really hasn't got many options in this position. A lovely subtle move, which I think really encapsulates Karpov's style of chess. I think 99.999% of any human being would capture this pawn back. The issue now, as you can see in my lovely graphical things there, is that the white king cannot get into the position. And in the ending, the king is very important. It can't come past any of these free squares, which are protected by black's pieces. Now, I know this is quite high level stuff, but Karpov amazingly played knight to g2, giving up a pawn in an ending. A simply astonishing idea. This position helps him because his pawns are on dark squares, meaning that Kasparov's bishop can never attack them. This is a very important thing for the ending. And we see the real point very soon. After pawn takes g3, I'll let you discuss other matters in the chat. King takes g3. Karpov now has a way in for his king. He has no pawn on h4, a weird position where it's better not to have the pawn. And after some maneuvering, Karpov wins his pawn back, and slowly but surely, we can see now the white king has a way in, which it wouldn't have done had he simply captured the pawn back. He goes on to win maybe the most brilliant ending of all time. King to e7. There's a fine line between stupidity and genius, madness and genius. And this move sums it up. Is this move, moving the king, a beginner's move, or is it a move of a genius? Well, it's a move of a genius. Karpov wants to go g5. He cannot play g5 in the original position because of the pin on the h-pawn. The g-pawn can simply be captured. Karpov cannot take that bishop back. But after this wonderfully weird move, now be honest, did you see this move? I mean, not many humans would. So, for example, had Kamsky castled, g5 is actually winning material for black, and a lovely idea. If you take this pawn now, the rook on h8 is simply defended. Brilliant stuff. The game continued with Kamsky trying to play aggressive with knight e5, but now Karpov simply captures that knight and plays, can you see the move? Queen a5 check. Picking up the pawn on e5, Karpov's won a pawn. g5. This is a discombobulating move, meaning it is a misdirection move. It messes up black's pieces. If the knight moves at all, we have knight to f4. And we're going to force our way to h7. So rook takes g5 was played by Korchnoi. And now comes the second blow. And again, pause if you want to. Rook d5. An amazing move. This rook now has to be captured because the rook and queen have been separated. It can't be captured by the knight because a queen takes h7 and queen takes h8 checkmate. So rook takes d5 is forced, and now Karpov's idea, knight takes d5, trying to get rid of the defender of h7, throwing everything at the black king. Amazing tactics. Rook to e8, trying to defend e7, and now knight to e4, another piece comes in, bishop c6, and now another stunning move, the third brilliant blow. e5, and another discombobulating move. The actual idea of this is to stop the black queen coming to the king side. Now, what do I mean by that? Well, if you go for brute force with knight takes f6, there's nothing really here for white. We can take on h7, but the black king escapes, runs away, does a Forrest Gump, run, Forrest, run. So we can't do that one. And another idea here would be knight to h5, a beautiful idea threatening multiple checkmates. And also we have rook g1s, but now the queen shows its power. Queen to g5 check. The queens are exchanged and black can hang on. This brilliant move e5 has the point that if pawn takes e5, we do the same combination. Knight takes f6, knight to h5, but there's no queen to g5. Amazing stuff. And after e5, well, Karpov went on to win in very brutal fashion with rook to e1 coming. Korchnoi resigned. So what would you play as white here in a position where maybe it doesn't seem that, weird or, tactical? Well, bishop to f3. I have to mention bishop e4 was also interesting, but this move I really like. Quite a rare case of Karpov, which I'm sure a lot of you haven't seen before. Now, the point is that bishop's aiming for g4, so black has to do something. It seems like the bishop is lost, but after a couple of exchanges, Karpov has again, like some of the other examples, distracted black away from some of the squares he wants to defend, mainly g6. And now with queen g6 check coming in, Karpov goes on to obliterate the black king side and all the protection around it by swapping off all the pawns. And we can see after numerous checks, he has 3 pawns for the piece, but the black king is now so weak, and of course Mestel cannot defend this in the long run. e6 is coming when the bishop also joins in, and a lovely example from Karpov there of a weird move that tactically works.